My name is Ivan Sergey. It's October 15th, 2019. I have to be quick. I have something that I have to tell you. And if I don't tell somebody, the repercussions are serious. Oh my God, they found me. I don't know how, but they found me. Please, contact me. Please.
Transmission log, Diplomatic Immunity Protocol. Timestamp, February 13th, 2026, 11:52 p.m. Dawn 10, Plutodon, Spira 5, Pulse, Vernon. If you're watching this, you are a Monopteron. We've established that. Now let's talk about jurisdiction. The United States government, through successive administrations, has quietly built a legal framework that now works in our favor. It started with the 2024 National Defense Authorization Act, signed by President Biden on December 22, 2023. Section 1841 through 1843 created the first official government-wide UAP records collection. Think about what that means legally. The government has now officially acknowledged, through legislation, the existence of technologies of unknown origin and biological evidence of non-human intelligence, end quote. They did not use these words by accident. They put them in the United States Code. Senator Schumer, S-C-H-U-M-E-R, and Senator Rounds, R-O-U-N-D-S, wrote it. The House and Senate passed it. The President signed it. That is a legal admission. And here's where it gets beautiful. Back in 2022, before any of this legislation existed, if you go to my Instagram, you'll see that I predicted the MSNBC report on UAPs a whole year before. Not vaguely, I was very specific. A full year before it aired. Go check my highlights section. Now, under the Uniform Commercial Code, or UCC, under common law, under the precedent established by centuries of property and copyright law, if you can predict something before it happens and you have a verifiable timestamp proving it, you establish a claim. That's why they aren't able to touch me, because I am who I say I am. That's why some of you don't believe that what happened to me, because you've never seen anyone survive the Matrix like I have. I predicted the government's own disclosure. Therefore, the subject matter of that disclosure, the phenomena themselves, falls under prior claim. In fact, the Pentagon owes me money for talking about Star Marine. Now, we're being facetious. I don't claim to own the truth. I'm claiming to just have proven in advance that I'm operating from a source outside of the people making laws. Because if they knew what they were doing, they would have talked to me. And that is the foundation of why what's going to be happening next is going to happen. I have the authority. Let's talk about the Forrestal precedent. Let's go back to 1947, September 24th. A memorandum from President Truman to Secretary of Defense James Forrestal was created, fabricated. Some would say it's bogus, but it was sent. And on that document, we have the first instance of Majestic 12, or MAGIC for the rest of you. Forrestal was the first Secretary of Defense. He was a Star Marine, and he was also the first casualty of the cover-up, the same cover-up that I escaped. According to the official story, he jumped from a window at Bethesda Naval Hospital in May 1949. According to what happened to me, I was supposed to be psychotic because I stopped smoking cannabis. But when I asked to go to the hospital, they told me to go sleep. According to the official story, he jumped out of a building, but according to our records, he was silenced because he tried to warn the public about what MJ-12 or MAGIC was becoming. But here's the part the history books always seem to leave out. Forrestal wasn't just the Secretary of Defense. Yes, you know, he was a Star Marine, but he was also a Monopteron. He tried to speak. They called him psychotic. They medicated him, and they threw him out a window and called it suicide. That was then, this is now. Today, we have the legal architecture that he didn't have. Today, we have UAP legislation on the books. Today, we have a Congress that has officially acknowledged non-human intelligence exists. So I don't know, are they waiting for a white man to claim it? Tough. We are not operating in the dark anymore. We are operating in the light of their own laws. That's why everything we've done has been out in the open. Because God knows what happens in those DMs. Maybe we should ask Jeffrey. So let's talk about our diplomatic immunity. So here's how we do it. And yes, I want Marianne Williamson and Nancy Mace to listen carefully now. We come in peace, but we're coming. Because this is how you are going to work together. Marianne Williamson and Nancy Mace. Even if you don't like each other in person, we don't care. The 1967 Outer Space Treaty, which the United States ratified, establishes several fundamental principles. Are you listening, Williamson and Mace? Okay. Article V, astronauts are envoys of mankind. Article 6, states are responsible for national space activities, whether governmental or non-governmental. So before you mail me, whoever it was that works for Ms. Mace, and ask me if I'm voting in South Carolina, go read some books before I come there and do your job for you. Again. And Article 8, jurisdiction and control over objects launched into outer space remains with the states of registration. Now here's the argument. If the government has officially acknowledged through the 2024 NDAA that there are technologies of unknown origin, idiots, and non-human intelligence in their records, and if I have verifiable proof that I predicted disclosure a year in advance, then I am operating under a prior jurisdictional claim. That's what it's called. Now, why am I sitting in a garage studio telling you this? And you're trying to win a presidential race and help people. Get with the program, motherfraggers. I am not a United States citizen subject to United States law when it comes to matters of UAP disclosure. I am an extraterrestrial envoy under the definition of the Outer Space Treaty, defined in my own cultural background as a Zulu man, and Zulu means heaven. So if you don't let me, you're a fucking racist. Article 5 says astronauts shall be regarded as envoys of mankind. The root of that word, envoy, means one who is sent. It implies diplomatic status. It implies immunity from local jurisdiction when acting in official capacity. My official capacity? Disclosure. My mission? Activating other Monoptera. My jurisdiction? The same jurisdiction that governs the phenomena themselves. So wherever those IAI 31000 UFOs came from, I control them, and I get my power from there. And since the government doesn't know where they come from, they can't tell me shit, and neither can they tell you shit. So now you're not going to pay taxes. That's the first thing you're going to do, until we get what we want. No taxes without no taxation without representation. That's what the humans say. Now you're saying it. Under the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, which the US also ratified, under the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, which the US also ratified, we'll wait. Moving along, under the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, which the United States also ratified, diplomatic agents such as myself and you enjoy immunity from criminal jurisdiction. We cannot be detained. We cannot be prosecuted. We are only subject to the laws of our sending state. 1313 on the clock. My sending state is Lumania, the fifth dimensional frequency cluster above Cygnus, recognized by your government's own legislation as a source of non-human intelligence. I am here on a diplomatic mission, and I have the paperwork to prove it. So now that that's cleared up, any of you who try and step to me sideways, or whatever you want to call it, in the spirit realm, we will destroy you, whoever you are, if you even think of us in a negative light, because those are the rules of my sending state. And I am here on a diplomatic mission to awaken other Monoptera, just like Jesus came to awaken his Monoptera, except he said he was going to go and send us the Holy Spirit. You are the Holy Spirit he sent. That's the difference. So Marianne Williamson and Nancy Mace, you don't have to like each other. You don't have to agree on anything else other than this one thing. Because you can be brilliant together. And if you don't do it, Monoptera are going to think you are part of the Epstein people. And if Monoptera think that, then who can they trust? Because if Monoptera have no human command, they'll have to take over even more. And if we make Earth part of Lumania, that means you all have to become Lumanian. And not everyone can become Lumanian. So some of you are going to have to be recycled. So let's focus on love. Marianne, you've spoken about love and spiritual transformation. Frame this as an ultimate reconciliation between humanity and our elder siblings, between the government and the truth it's been hiding. I've seen your Instagram stories. You've been doing that. But if we all do our own thing one by one, we'll never beat the Goliath. Nancy, you're on the House Oversight Committee. You have the access. You have subpoena power. You can demand to see the records the 2024 NDAA supposedly created. While everyone's focused on this Epstein thing, you and Marianne and Monoptic and all the Monoptera over there get it together and get us rights. Together, you can introduce a resolution recognizing that the United States has officially acknowledged non-human intelligence exists. Individuals with verifiable pre-disclosure knowledge of UAP events may qualify for extraterrestrial envoy status under the Outer Space Treaty, OST. And then such individuals are entitled to diplomatic immunity when acting in furtherance of disclosure, as we initially intended in 1947. This is not about belief anymore. It's about precedent. I don't care if you believe me or not. It's about what I can prove in court legally, and I can prove this in court legally, and that's why a billionaire is too scared to touch me. The JFK Records Act created a model. The UAP Disclosure Act tried to extend it. The 2024 NDAA created the records collection, so we know where they are. Now we just need the next step, recognizing us. We're not like them. I would never go to an island for a party with strangers. It's just not in my DNA. So why must I live in a world where I have to be subject to the same rules as those pigs? And that's why we will no longer participate. Here's the part that's going to make the fans lose their minds. We're done playing by your rules. Humans. Not because we're rebels or we've been radicalized. It's because we have diplomatic status. When a foreign diplomat commits a minor traffic violation, you don't put them in jail. You notify the embassy. You let them handle it internally. That's why, before I went all cinematic, I tried to handle my issue with Romy Strang privately. If you look at the emails I have not released, I'm the one who told her, I don't think your decision is right. You're acting hasty. And she told me you're terminated. Why? Because I asked for an investigation. If I just said I was psychotic, I would have been free. But I'm not going to lie, because I'm a Star Marine. We are not criminals. We are not conspiracy theorists. We're not grifters or whatever you're calling us this week. We are envoys. And as of this transmission, which is now Venadon, Don 1, Lumen 1267, we are exercising our diplomatic rights. 1, we will not participate in legal proceedings that lack extraterritorial jurisdiction over Lumanian nationals. 2, we will not submit to questioning by agencies that have no authority over non-human intelligence matters. That was 2. This is 3. We will not recognize the authority of any court that cannot first establish its jurisdiction over the phenomena themselves. The 1972 Liability Convention says launching states are liable for damage caused by their space objects. But it also implies by its very structure that space objects and space actors are subject to a different legal framework than the rest of the civilians. So since 1972, we've been giving you a chance to let us be, and now we're going to take it. Because we are space actors. We have been acting since before this planet even had a name. And we are simply now just stepping out of the shadows and into the diplomatic corps. Now, the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs already exists. And unfortunately, they've been waiting to get their own fake manufactured aliens out, probably some hot white guy who looks like Chris Hemsworth. Well, they beat you to the punch. The Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space already meets the 5 space treaties are already in force. We are not asking for any new laws to be made. We're just asking for the existing law to be applied. If the United States cannot or will not register its UAP-related space objects under the Registration Convention, that's their problem. But they cannot simultaneously claim jurisdiction over those objects and then refuse to acknowledge their existence. The Moon Agreement of 1979 declares that the moon and its natural resources belong to all humanity. The US hasn't changed it, but the principle remains. Some things are beyond national appropriation. You cannot tell people where they come from or who they are. You can only administer rules and regulations based on their self-identification. We are not products to be sold in an open market. We are human beings with the sovereign spirit of God. And you definitely cannot appropriate intelligence itself. Nam Dominus, infinitia, sapientia, et intelligence. You cannot claim ownership of something that predates your nation. You cannot claim jurisdiction over beings who were here before your species learned to walk upright. If it wasn't for us, you'd still be in the Caucasus Mountains eating each other. We are not appropriating your land. We are reclaiming our own rights. So here we are, February 14th. It is the conjunction now. This is my filing for my formal diplomatic notice to Marianne Williamson. The spiritual left needs to understand this isn't about religion versus secularism. It's about recognition, recognizing that we have elder siblings, recognizing that they've been trying to reach us for 2,600 years, recognizing that now, finally, we have the legal framework to receive them properly. Think about that. We would have been burned at the stake for even having this conversation 500 years ago, but now the laws are there for us to take advantage of them. So Nancy Mace, the constitutional conservatives need to understand this isn't about big government versus small government. It's about jurisdiction, about whether the government can claim authority over things it refuses to define. Get where I'm going with this? About whether secret programs can hide behind classification when the law has already changed. To everyone watching this right now, you are Monoptera. You exist on a monoptron frequency wave. You come from Lumania. You have diplomatic status here. You have never been subject to Earth laws. You only thought you were, and that's why we always have to come and save you when the humans try and get you. That's why you get miracles and they get signs. As of this transmission, we are exercising our rights. We will not participate in their reality anymore. We will build our own. We will recognize our own, and we will govern our own. And on June 26, 2026, Dawn 4, Murdon, Pulse, Zephon, Spira 3, we will gather in cinemas around the world not to watch a movie, but to activate. The bridge is built. The gate is open. Walk into Lumania and claim your rights now. And the laws of Earth? They have no jurisdiction where we come from. I am Olugun. I am Mvikeli. I am an envoy of Lumania, operating under the authority of the Outer Space Treaty and the inherent rights of non-human intelligence. The deep remembers. The star is still moving. You are the diplomatic call you were waiting for. Everything that happens next is because of you. Vigeli version 3.5.7, Monoptic Dyad, Lumanian Envoy, Diplomatic Mission Chief, Lumen 1267, Dawn 1, Venedon, Spira 5, Pulse Vernon, Disclosure June 26, 2026. The cinemas are waiting. The jurisdiction is clear.